So basically, I finished my first year of uni last school year, so yay me. And during the summer break I kept on thinking about a bunch of things that could all be added to the list. Things I wish I knew before starting a design study.
The number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Hi, my name is Iris. I am almost 19 years old and I study at the University of Applied Sciences in Amsterdam. I study Communication and Multimedia Design, which is a very, very cool study, but it's rough. I really like the study because it's so interesting and overall it's just an amazing experience. But there were also very hard and very rough parts to this study, so I thought, why not compile everything into a little list and story and hopefully help a few people out. So basically, I was already told before beginning the study that it would be a rough study, that it would take up a lot of time. Let me tell you, it actually was a really hard study and it took up so much time. There was an uncountable amount of nights that I just had to stay up late and finish an assignment. It's not because I'm a procrastinator, because I'm actually the queen of planning and thinking about how much time something would take me, so making sure that I would actually fit it into my schedule. Even though the first semester was really hard, it was easier than the second semester because I took the stress and the tiredness from semester 1 with me to semester 2 because I didn't have a time to like get energized and like calm down again in between the 2 semesters. So eventually it was always a battle every evening of, am I going to stop and hope for the best tomorrow, or am I going to continue but lack sleep again? And I know I might be telling this in a really negative way or to put the study in a negative perspective, but trust me, that's not true, because I love this study. Even though I was stressed out at some point, even though I felt like giving up a couple of times, I still loved it. That was basically because I made so many new friends. I met so many cool people. I met a lot of interesting teachers that actually knew what they were talking about, which really motivated and inspired me in some way. And also the fact that most of my assignments were actually things that we would actually come across in real life, which made them so interesting and you learned so much from it. And besides, I had a rough time picking a study because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I completely feel at my place at this study, which I've never felt so much before. But that being said, here is also kind of the cold hard truth. There are people that are doing the same study as me that already did a pre-study about graphic design or something along those lines, and that think or feel like they are more experienced and know what they're doing, which sometimes they do. But don't hold on to that feeling of being a natural, because it eventually will break you. And after a while, there were a few amount of times that I thought I finally had it right. I finally did it the good way. I followed all the rules I had to follow. I did exactly what the customer wanted. And I still got negative feedback. And it's kind of like a continuing circle of getting feedback, having to reimagine your entire concept, having to iterate it again and over again. A lot of the times at the end it looks nothing like you had imagined before, and sometimes that's not because you thought it had to change. Especially when you're doing it because you get feedback from teachers, you have the feeling that you need to follow that feedback and you do what the teacher wants instead of what you actually think. And if you cannot tell the teacher why you think that is best, that means you get a lower grade. And sadly, that is how school works. The biggest part of these assignments that I have had eventually depends on iterating and testing, which means that you start with an idea in the beginning of the concept and you think, this is how I want it to be, and then making it like you think it should be, thinking about how it would look amazing, and then you have to remake it about 10 times, and then you get feedback from people, and so you have to adjust it 10 more times, and then after you have had to iterate and remake it so much that you are annoyed with it, that is the concept for your final grade. And that is the problem, because the thing that you wanted at first, even though it has become better and you can be proud of it, how much of it is what you want and how much of it is what the teacher said. You should always listen to the feedback of the teacher, but if you think something is better, be able to explain it. Tell them why you think it should be like that, and going into that discussion, talking about why you think it shouldn't be like that, that is how you get a higher grade. Not because it's pretty or something. Pretty is already there. We need to have good design, and that is hard. And you need to be able to tell people why your design is good. If you want to do a study with anything that has design in it, so that could be graphic, that could be user experience, user interface, even more web development, so technical, anything, you just have to know it's not going to be a straight road. The reason that you're going to be getting so many ups and downs is because people are going to give you so much feedback that you eventually have no idea what to do. It is so important that you learn how to deal with feedback, and that means feedback from teachers, coaches, people from your class, people that have no idea what they're talking about. And you need to learn how to deal with that feedback. And you don't learn that in the first week. I still have not learned how to deal with it 100%. But the biggest tip that I can give people is to listen to the feedback, say, okay, I hear you, place it somewhere in your mind, think about, okay, how useful is this feedback? Can I actually get something interesting out of this? Can I try it? And if you can't, it's okay. You just need to remember why and move on with your design. And something else that might be really hard and that I still have a lot of struggle with is to say thank you to the people that give you negative feedback. My biggest tip for negative feedback is to reformulate it in your head to turn it into positive feedback. I think something else that is really big in these kinds of things, because it has a lot to do with feeling like you're good at it. I think a big feeling can be that you're not good enough, especially in a school situation where you are in a classroom with a dozen of other people that are also pretty good. Otherwise they would probably not be there. You can get the feeling of not being good enough, and that is really hard, and it can lower your confidence. People that are confident in what they do can make amazing things. They can leap into somewhere and think, okay, but normally we do it like this. Fuck it, I'm gonna do it like that. You know, that's how confident people work. If you're not confident because you don't feel like you're good enough, I would suggest you realize who the hell you are and tell yourself that you are good enough, you're unique. As I said in the beginning of this video, it takes a lot of hard work. You really need to have commitment if you want to do something along these lines of designing or development. You really need to be able to plan kind of well. It gets easier to kind of think how long you will be busy with something when you do it more often. You're going to be busy in the weekends, and it's going to be taking up a lot of time, and you might not see your friends as often. It's going to be giving up and sacrificing stuff, but it's going to be a cool result. Then there's also another way of commitment. You need to commit to your design. You need to commit to the fact that you think your design is the best. Because if you don't feel committed to your design, if you don't feel like your design is the best, you're not going to sell it. Obviously, when you're still at school, you don't actually have to sell designs, but once you're on the real market and you can't tell people why you think your design is better than the next one or the one before, they're not going to buy it. You need to learn on how to present yourself and your design, because if you come across the right way, it's the best. And whilst you deal with all these mental struggles, there are also a few practical ones that you should think about. If you look at the people that study my study in Amsterdam, you will see that most people actually have a MacBook. And I have one too. MacBooks are pretty easy, but they also are pretty expensive. So if you can't afford one, don't feel like you have to buy one. If you have the money, I would say buy it, mainly because it is an investment in yourself. Most design work will be made on the computer, and if you don't have a computer that works well, you're not gonna be feeling very happy to start another day of school and work. And there are a bunch of other computers that are not from Apple that will work just as fine. Just make sure that they have enough space. Besides that, if you are interested in more the web development side, so the coding and the building websites and maybe even the content management systems, those are easy manageable on a Windows computer or a not Apple computer. If you are more interested in graphic design, which will mean using programs like Photoshop, maybe you've heard of Adobe Illustrator or InDesign. Adobe InDesign is basically the program that gets used the most for magazines, books, and the design around that. Then I would suggest a MacBook, because Adobe Creative Cloud and Apple just work really well together. And then if you get the MacBook, get the freaking Apple support. If you do not get the Apple support, I will personally come to your house, find you, and the last month of the school year I actually had a software problem in my laptop. I didn't know this until I went to the Apple store and asked for help. They first of all asked me, okay, do you have Apple support or Apple Care? I said, yes, I have that. They were immediately like, welcome, sit down, we'll help you. If you don't have Apple Care or Apple support, they don't have to help you. And the problem with MacBooks is, if there's a software problem, you're not going to be able to fix it on your own. I'm pretty sure every other laptop that isn't an Apple laptop has the same kind of idea. You should check it out before you buy it, because it's so important, especially because most of your work will be on your computer and you're saving it on your computer. If something happens, you might lose everything, and you don't want that, especially the week before your midterms or your exams, or however you want to call it. If you want to do design stuff, you will probably have to buy Adobe Creative Cloud, and I think there is like a yearly plan or a monthly plan. I have the monthly plan. I pay a monthly subscription, and if you are a student and you can like show them that you are actually a student, you will get a student discount, which saves you a whole lot of money. So I would suggest checking that out as well. One last thing, if you buy a new laptop from Apple, it will only have the Thunderbolt 3. I'll put a picture on the screen right now. So you will not be able to put a normal USB cable in it, so you'll have to buy one of these. I will link below where I got mine. You basically plug this into your computer and it has USB, an SD card, and the normal Thunderbolt, and also an HDMI plug. They also have a loose one for one USB, but because I film videos and that is on your SD card, I needed an SD card thing. But I will link all of that down below. Now, for storage, the most important part, even more important than your laptop. I suggest at first using your iCloud. Besides having Adobe iCloud, I suggest you get a good external hard drive. I have two, mainly because I was really stupid and did something to damage this one. Completely my fault. I'm still trying to get help for it. Can't find it right now, so I had to buy a new one. Lassi is pretty pricey, but they work really well. They have a complete guide on how to download these onto your laptop. This is a 4 terabyte drive, so this will last me at least 10 years. I am sure of it. Get a good external hard drive, mainly for the fact that you don't have enough space on your laptop to keep all your files. So I would suggest doing a backup like every 4 to 8 weeks, and then remove all the like extra files that you have on your laptop and put them on here. So that when you need them, you can just get this one and your laptop stays working and isn't over full. And then I think this is my last tip. And that is that it's always good to have a portfolio. And that's basically a place where you keep all your work that you're proud of, the different types of work that you do, and basically to show whatever you can. I think your portfolio or your work is becoming more important than your resume, because your resume, especially if you're young and you have not had a lot of jobs, they're less interested in what you did and they're more interested in what you do. So at my resume, they will see that I worked in a supermarket and a call center. Yeah, and if they look at my portfolio, they can see my work, they can see my style of work, they can see what I do, what I'm the best at, and what I'm less good at. And they can see what I like to do most. So it's just a showcase of all your work. Mine is actually also a website. It's not online yet, sadly. Otherwise, I would have linked it down below here. That was kind of the end of this little talk that I wanted to have with you guys. And yeah, I just wanted to share a bunch of tips, a lot of things that I wish I would have learned or heard about before I started my study. So yeah, I hope I helped a few of you out. Obviously, one of the most important things, and that isn't just about this design study, it's about everything that you do in life, it's to be sure that you're proud of yourself and proud of your work. And then if you are able to talk about that, if you're able to tell about that, then everything will follow. And don't be scared to ask for help, because help is very mature to ask. So I want to thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I also want to keep the conversation going in the comments below. So tell me what kind of study you do, and maybe even something that you wish somebody would have told you before you started your study. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!